right. Here we go, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody, to the City Commission meeting of September 11th, 2023. I call this meeting to order. Val, please call the roll.
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry? Here. Commissioner Danio?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Here. Mayor Villa?
Here. And I'll ask you all to please stand for the invocation led by Commissioner Curry, and please continue standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I don't know, I feel the pressure. Let us pray. O God of protection, we offer our heartfelt gratitude for the courageous first responders who ran towards danger on September the 11th, risking their lives to save others. Bless and protect those who continue to serve in these vital roles today. Just as the heroes of September 11th displayed extraordinary bravery, they inspired us to be courageous in our own lives. Give us the boldness to face the unknown and the resolve to make a difference. May our unity be a testament to the power of love and cooperation, forging a path forward, a more passionate world. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not as good as Danio's.
Yeah, that was great.
Well written.
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. All right. So tonight is a special City Commission meeting. It's the only time of the year that we don't do it on a Tuesday, and that is because of the conflict between the school board, who is also setting their millage rate on Tuesday night. So we have to move our meeting to Monday every year. So this is the budget and millage rate. It is the first hearings. There will be a second hearing on both of them as well. And so we will start with number 1, Resolution 2023-R-44 for first public hearing. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number, what was it again?
2003 R44.
2023 R-44.
Yes.
Is that millage? Yeah. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of an ad valorem taxes for the City of Holly Hill for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and providing for severability and providing for an effective date. I can never actually recall if I have to do this at both hearings or just one, but I'll go ahead and do it for both just to be sure. In Section 1, the fiscal year 2023-2024 operating millage is 6.25 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 5.616 mils by 11.29%.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte, presentation.
Not much more to add. This millage rate is at the 6.25 that we discussed at the previous work session, and it includes those 3 additional positions and the 51,000 added to the contingency line.
Thank you very much.
Outside of that, there have been no other significant changes to the budget that you've seen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions for staff from the City Commission? Seeing none, I will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience here tonight that would like to speak on this resolution? Yes, sir. And you know the drill, Mr. Hanger. Name and
Robin
address.
Hanger, 950 Ridgewood Avenue and 929 State Avenue. I sat here and listened to the workshop. I don't know how many of y'all go out to eat at night. Prices have changed. Have you filled up your cars? Prices have changed. You go buy anything, prices have gone up. Everything is going up. Cost of labor is going up. Anyone that wants to live here understands prices are going up. I've brought several pieces of, not pictures, I was going to, but several partials of information to Mr. Forte about sidewalks that were overgrown and trees that were overgrown, the sidewalks where you couldn't even see the sidewalk. One of them was on Center Street here recently. And then a day or two later, it was cleaned up. First time in years that it was cleaned, the east side sidewalk on Center Street going to school. The question was brought up to me, Why does that matter? There's a sidewalk on the west side. You've got kids that live on the east side of Center Street that walk down, and at least now, and they are using it, they can walk down the east side of the sidewalk because it's clear to where the crossing guard is, and they're not at the crossing guard, granted, they're on the south side of the bridge, but they're within eyesight of the crossing guard now, and they do cross there. Thursday of last week, there was a resident out there cleaning up even more. I stopped and made a comment to him about the city got it cleaned up, and he says, yeah, he had been trying to get it cleaned up for years. He didn't know how he was doing it. He don't remember. He was an older gentleman, but he was outside cleaning up more of that sidewalk and said now that it's where it's managed, he will take care of it and do his best. Also on 10th Street, we have a house on the corner of 10th and Alta. It's won the beautification award several times. If you come east on 10th Street, we run into the city yard. The city yard sidewalk that goes behind the city yard there, grass is growing over it, dirt washed out of the driveway onto the sidewalk. It's a hazard and it's a mess. We go on a little bit more east and you run into the park. We pay somebody to clean that park up. It looks nice. You go on a little bit more across the tracks. For a little bit across the tracks, it looks messed up again, dirty. Grass growing over the sidewalks and everything. But then you run into the pickleball facility. It's nice and beautiful. We need help to keep the sidewalks clean and staff that can concentrate on that, because you've got people that are building houses such as mine. I built one on State Avenue, and I was asked why did I build such an expensive house on State Avenue. I would have never had dreamed of doing that had the park still been the park. But because we put so much money into the area, I believe that one person can make a difference, and one place cleaning up generates people to look around, whether it be the city that cleans up or the individual that lives in front of that area. It all makes a difference. The gentleman to the south of me now does more to his house than he's ever done. The couple to the south and west of me also have commented several times, and I see them out there doing things now. So it doesn't matter where you're at, somebody's got to start somewhere. We need help. The city, you can definitely see a difference when you're going down Riverside Drive when you get into Ormond. And there's a park there right at the entrance, but and I know they probably maintain the park a little bit more, people would say, but as you drive on down Riverside Drive, it's nice and clean and well kept. The houses are more expensive, I understand, but still, I believe that if we take the initiative to edge and clean up and take care of our own properties, that more people will do that. And so I'm all for hiring somebody to maintain and help anywhere they can. The parks are the partials that the people that are cutting the grasses now, the partials that they take care of, they're nice. I compliment them every time I see them. I bring them water or whatever. Yes, I have a business next to where they do it, but I'm appreciative of what they do, so I think we need help. The guy that walks around and picks up trash has made a huge difference, So that's just a point of, if we hire the people to do specific jobs and let them do it, how much nicer our city will look. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hanger. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the City Commission about this resolution tonight? Yes, sir. Just come forward and state your name and address for the record, and you will have 5 minutes to address the commission.
I won't need 5 minutes.
Okay.
My name is Thomas Dillon. I live at 7024.
What is it? One more time, Thomas?
Thomas Dillon.
Dillon?
Not
Okay.
Dillon, Marshall Dillon. Living at 702 Flomich, and I'd like to know about this non-ad valorem $100 thing that keeps popping up on my bills, and when that's going to go away, and how did it get there?
Yep. Is that the stormwater fee you're talking about, $96 a year?
It's on my tax bill. It's on
On the backside.
I got
Yes.
double, like $200, because I have 2 buildings on one property, which
Okay.
I don't agree with. You're kicking the crap out of me here. I got 9 kids, and I just keep getting hit every which way. And I don't like the water bill either, the minimum. I think that's atrocious, and trying to figure out how this is getting in and how it can be stopped.
Okay.
How much money does the city need? We all have needs, and,
Yes, sir. And we will answer that question, but right now, we're setting the tax millage rate, which is separate, so I will answer your question for you. But do you have any further comments
That's
about the millage rate?
no, I
Okay.
don't actually understand the millage rate, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Dillon. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the city commission about this resolution tonight? Going once. All right, I will close public comments. And just as a point of privilege, I know it's not having to do with this millage rate, but wanted to quickly explain to you, because I know you came here for an answer, sir, that $96 a year has been on the tax bill on the backside of it. That is for the stormwater fee it goes to fund all of the stormwater projects, so any piping, outlets, all of that. And that was implemented, I don't know how many years ago, many years ago.
I mean, in 2012, I believe, when I was mayor.
When you were mayor, yeah, but I think it was already in place when you,
I wasn't on the water bill, so we put it on the tax bill.
it wasn't on the water bill, right, and then you put it on the tax bill. So 2012,
It's
so
an alternative.
11 years ago. It's an alternative way to collect it, as opposed to that. If you would like to discuss that further too after the meeting, I'm happy to talk to you or a member of staff, and they're available also Monday through Friday and can walk you through that more as well. You said, when does it go away? Well, it doesn't go away. That's the charge to maintain the stormwater system. So, and if you'd like to discuss it more, we can discuss it afterwards, but we have to move forward with this public hearing. So with that, is there anyone further? I closed public comment. So now I will open the floor for a motion from a commissioner.
I'll make a motion to approve the millage rate at the 6.25.
So we have a second. We have a motion from Commissioner Curry to approve a 6.25 millage rate, and a second from Vice Mayor Penny. Now we'll move to discussion. Any discussion needed? All right, I think we all said our piece in the workshop. And so we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion carries 4-0 with
4 to 1.
Sorry, 4-1. I should be better at math. 4-1 with the mayor opposing. Now we'll move to number 2, Resolution 2023-R-45. Mr. Simpson.
2023-R-45 by title only for first reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for the City of Holly Hill for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
All right. So, Mr. Forte, do you have a presentation for this?
Nothing has changed with the budget that we didn't present to you during the previous budget work sessions, with the exception of what we added those positions that we talked about just earlier this evening.
Okay.
I will say, Mary, there will be some tweaks to it
Yeah.
between now and the next reading, because we're getting our final P&C insurance rates in. It's not going to affect anything, but there will be some minor tweaks to the final budget.
Great, so we'll all review that. We are in questions here. I want to ask staff, and we talked about this in the workshop, so I want this to be reflected in the eventual motion tonight, if the commissioners agree, is that I do not want to budget to contingency. So I believe it was Vice Mayor Penny's thought process to budget that to park upkeep. As Mr. Hanger alluded to earlier, that is an important part to this community and to the city commission. So just want that to be reflected. Is that possible, Mr. Forte?
Well, obviously, for tonight, we'll leave it in contingency. By the next meeting, we'll see if we can put it in a line item to address what you've asked.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move to public comment, or actually, I'll open the floor. Any further questions from the city commission? Yeah, I'm going to open it up. Yep. Any questions, though? All right, seeing no questions, we'll open this resolution up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this resolution tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner, Vice Mayor Penny, and a second from Commissioner Penny. Curry?
Hurry.
Two pennies, it's
I-
tough.
wait a minute, that's
Goodness
not my name.
gracious. All right. Promise I'll get the vote right on this one. Is there any discussion needed?
No.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move to public comments, which this is the opportunity for anyone in the public to comment about anything not on our agenda tonight to the City Commission. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the City Commission tonight? Yes, sir.
Twice?
What?
Twice?
Just name and address
In
for
the
the record.
workshop, we were discussing.
Name and,
Oh.
thank you.
Robin Hanger, 950 Ridgewood Avenue and 929 State Avenue. In the workshop, we were discussing the food trucks. I listened to John, and I understand yours, you own a restaurant. I know Penny and John Penny. I'm probably not going to make any friends here, but I believe food trucks should be allowed. I believe that I wouldn't not only allow them at places that manufacture liquor, I think they should be allowed at any bar establishment that sells or serves liquor. For a couple of reasons on that point would be, anytime that if we're allowing them to consume liquor now, and a person has a chance to have something to eat, if it saved one life because they ate something prior to getting on a motorcycle or in a hot rod car or just walking across the street, it would be worth it. If it was my granddaughter or grandson that got hit, I think everybody would feel that way. I'm not saying that would stop it, but statistically, we all know that if you have something to eat, it helps. The second part of it is, I believe that food trucks should be allowed because, like what was brought up, I can name 3 or 4 that are now brick and mortar places because they had a chance to establish themselves as a food truck and then they went on. I don't see a whole lot of difference myself between a food truck and lunch deliveries, unfortunately. I think that that's doing the same thing. I believe that food trucks should be allowed in an establishment. If you want to do one day a week, fine. One day a week per truck, and that way you get to the 7 days or whatever. Or if you want to have them 4 or 5 days. The taxes are being paid by the establishment. If I can have a food truck, if I own a bar, I really think that food trucks should be allowed at any business, but if we were saying for the liquor, I think they should go everywhere. But if it was at a regular establishment, I'm paying the taxes no matter what. Whatever I can do to get somebody in to stop at my business during an event or during something that I'm showcasing, that helps. We get more people that stop and spend 20 minutes longer in Holly Hill along the road. It helps. It helps us all. And there is no place to eat dinner at night here at all. You have to go out of town to do anything. Maybe you should open longer. So, I don't know. I think food trucks are a plus. I don't think that they have been handled correctly. I think the rates that they are charged should be more to offset the cost of inspecting them and making sure that they do have their licenses and all. But I'm sorry, I believe in the food trucks, and I think we should do it.
Thank you, Mr. Hanger. Is there anyone else in the audience that, yes, ma'am, in the back? I'm sorry, she raised her hand first. Whoever wants to come up, you decide. There you go. Yeah, you're closer. So just come on up and state your name for the record and your address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
332 London Road. And I also am a tenant at 841 Ridgewood. And I am opposed to the food truck. There's several reasons. I think that it takes away from the people like myself that believe that, to me, food trucks are a novelty. I think they take away from what the brick and mortars put into it. The argument keeps coming up that some of these big famous food trucks have started as food trucks and then opened brick and mortars. They didn't open a brick and mortar in Holly Hill. It's not doing anything for us here. I don't think that they're policed very well, and I also don't think a lot of them are giving to the business aspect of what we should be getting out of something that comes in. They're generating they're bringing in the money, they're bringing it home, they're not leaving any of it here. I don't think it's benefiting Holly Hill or any business except for the two that it's parked at. I think Holly Hill has struggled a long time with evening businesses opened for food, unless it's a bar. And why that is, I don't know. It was the easiest thing for me to cut when COVID hit because it wasn't successful then. What is going to bring people into Holly Hill? You know, if they're coming in to go to Copper Bottom or to the Ormond Brewery, yeah, I love going to them also. Are they going to stop at other restaurants along the way? I don't know. I don't see any restaurant that has been really successful in the evening in Holly Hill. And I honestly, I can't contribute or any information on why that is. I've definitely made an effort to make that happen. But with that being said, letting food trucks come and just park and bring it in and take it elsewhere, I think is a disservice. I think it's not going on in the evening as people are making you think it is. It is going on during the day, and it is taking away from the brick and mortars that are here in town. I think the fees are ridiculously low. The fees that other towns charge are much, much higher. And maybe those fees allow them to be policed a little better, too. I don't know that either. It's not a highly educated opinion, it's just an opinion from where I see it from my business point. I don't agree with it. I don't think that it should be a 7-day-a-week thing. I think it takes away from the businesses in the restaurant business that have put the effort in the brick and mortar and try to generate business and money within our town. There's nothing I would like more to have my building successful in the evening too. That's something that we've wanted to vamp back up, but unfortunately, come August, 841 Ridgewood is probably going to be vacant again. And I have to find reasons to keep this business in Holly Hill. And if I'm competing with a food truck, that takes away a lot of my reasons, So I just wanted to put that out there.
Is it Miss Lawson?
Yes.
Can you state for the record the name of your business?
Simply Gina's. It's Kim Lawson LLC, DBA Simply Gina's.
Just wanted that for the record. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Miss Lawson. I thought it was a very
Thanks.
thoughtful comment, so thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak about anything not on our agenda? Actually, you raised your hand in the back. Yes, ma'am. Come forward. And you'll have 5 minutes, and please state your name and your address for the record.
Roxinia Snyder, 920 Alabama Avenue. This is my first time and something like this, so I don't know really what it's about. I had like a letter with my taxes, and it's very expensive, so I'm kind of concerned because I bought the house, and when I bought the house, the agent, I bought the house in the wrong time because it was when the market was very high, so I paid like probably more than half the price of the house, really. And I am paying $5,000 for a house that I know some of my friends had better houses and the river and Urban Vision pay something similar. So I don't know what I can do about that. I had to pay because I had to pay. I understand that, but I'm feeling like it's a little bit unfair that some of my neighbors that had similar houses to mine, I know they bought it before me, but the prices are a lot of different. So I don't know how you guys, I understand that a lot of people came from other states and the price is going high and everything go crazy, and I understand a lot of stuff about taxes. I know hard problem paying taxes, but I'm feeling for a neighbor where I live and for the house I have, $5,000 a year is a lot of money for that kind of house. So that is kind of what I want to say.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for coming tonight. Can you just say your name one more time for the record? She has
Yeah.
to write it down.
Roxinia Snyder, Roxinia.
All right,
And what was the address?
Snyder, 920
Alabama Avenue.
Alabama. Thank you very much, and are you done with your public comment?
Yeah, it's,
If you
yeah,
could
because I
come
don't
and,
know.
here's my card, and I can explain to you more about the taxes afterwards. And you may want to look into a homestead exemption. A lot of the houses surround you, the reason why they're paying less is because they homesteaded before you. So, and we can explain that later. Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission tonight about anything not on our agenda? All right, seeing none, I will close public comments. And we appreciate everyone's comments here today. Thank you for taking the time to come up and speak about this. And it was great. We got two sides of the coin of, we got Team Danio and Team John Penny over here. So it'll be an interesting discussion after this meeting to continue that workshop. So thank you very much for those comments. We will now move to the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from the August 22nd, 2023 regular city commission meeting. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone that would like to speak on the minutes? Seeing none, I will close. No one ever wants to speak about the minutes.
No.
We will close public participation, and we will take a vote on the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now, tonight, on our consent agenda, we have items 1 through 8. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless a city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Would any member of the city commission like to remove any item from the consent agenda for any discussion? Mr. Forte.
Yeah, Mayor, we need to pull item 1 and actually, it'll be rescheduled. That is the item for professional services for extending the sewer main across Nova Road at 10th Street to get to the Balboa property. It's been sitting in the queue for a couple of months, actually. This is what the project that we received the appropriations for, and we don't want to show any expenditures until we have all the documents signed, and we haven't gotten the signed documents back yet. We thought we'd have it by this meeting, but it's not. So we're going to pull that one, and we'll just have it rescheduled for a future meeting date.
Okay, so with no objection, we will pull number 1 from the consent agenda. Are there any other items any commissioner wishes to pull for discussion? Okay. Seeing none, is there any member of the audience that would like to speak on any item on the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of items 2 through 8 on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 2 through 8.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no discussion needed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Mr. Simpson, do we need to do anything to poll item number 1 to have it rescheduled? Or is it
No,
okay to take no action on it?
I think it was pulled by Joe.
It was polled, but do we need to reschedule it by any official
Joe
means?
will reschedule it.
All right, thank you. Now moving to our regular agenda tonight, we have 3 items on our regular agenda. Number 1 is Resolution 2023-R-50. Mr. Simpson?
Resolution number 2023-R-50 by title only for first and only reading. Resolution of City Commission of Holly Hill, Florida, establishing participation in senior management service class, providing for authority to the city manager for implementing administrative actions, providing for Scrivener's errors and conflicts, and providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte?
Okay, so back in 2018, when we went to the voting public and we eliminated the Civil Service Act, we increased some of the department heads, their pension plan from the regular class to the senior management class. We did it based on what we had evaluated at that time to be the positions that were eligible to go into the senior management class. In doing some reviewing of other cities in those positions, we've determined that the chief building official, due to his responsibilities and his job classifications, should also be included in that senior management class. We did advertise it on 2 consecutive Fridays in the News Journal, which is part of the requirement by Florida statute. And so tonight we're asking for the City Commission to go ahead and authorize us to include the chief building official in the senior management class. We do have the monies budgeted in this year's budget to cover that cost.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions from this commission? Seeing none, we will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this resolution tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Curry, a second from Commissioner Danio. Is there any discussion needed? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Now we move to number 2, 2023-2024 VOCA Agreement, Victims of Crime Acts. Mr. Forte.
This is the VOCA grant that we've been getting each year, and this funds the victim advocate position in the police department. And there's a certain amount of money that we get through the grant and a certain amount of in-kind monies that we put toward it. Well, this year, the state's funding has dropped, so it's not funded as much by the state as it had been in the past. So we've got money in the budget to make up the difference in what that grant should be versus what we're actually paying for that position. We strongly want to continue with this position. It serves a great deal of a purpose for those folks in this community that need the victim's advocate. And we're requesting that the City Commission authorize us to keep the position and fund it, the balance of it out of the general fund.
All right. Are there any questions for staff? With that, we will open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I will close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Curry. Is there any discussion needed?
I would just like to thank you for everything you do. It's a very important position for us, and thank you.
Yes. Is there any further discussion? We all echo those same remarks, and I've read many success stories already from what you've done here in Holly Hill, so you are greatly needed, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Chief, as well. We appreciate everything you do for us. With that, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now, number 3, which is the foreclosure and vacant property registration process agreement with Hara Property. Mr. Forte.
So the past several years, we were working with ProChamps as the management company that would identify the vacant and foreclosed properties that were not being cared for. They charge a certain fee to have those properties registered. They share that fee with the city. They went through bankruptcy this past year. Hara Properties is an offshoot of that. I believe it was employees that used to work for ProChamps that started this business prior to ProChamps going through bankruptcy. And they're a sole source in this area for that, so we're recommending that we change our contract over to Hara Properties to do this level of property management. And we're doing an initial term of a 3-year contract that has 2 one-year renewals.
This may be a question. I have a question for either you or Mr. Simpson. If this company was to be bought out within that 3-year term, would we have to go with whoever buys them out, or would we be able to relook at the contract?
Typically, what we've done in the past is if somebody buys that company out, we just update the agreement to name that company as the partner that we're working with.
Would we be able to pull out of it if it was a company we didn't agree with? Is that in the contract?
I'd have to see
And
what-
I'm sorry I didn't ask this ahead of time, because I usually like you to research it, but,
It would depend on what the contract says, or whether it's assignable or not.
okay.
I'm trying to open it up.
Okay, and as you look to see if it's assignable, it just concerns me with the Pro Champs, how big they were. They were the biggest company in this field, and they went bankrupt. And it's my understanding that there are several offshoots of these types of companies. I just want to make sure that we don't get put in a position again, because I think the Pro Champs program has actually worked out for the city and has been a good program. It's unfortunate that they went under. I do like the fact that these people, as I understand, were instrumental in that program and went ahead with this company after Pro Champs went down. So, but I just want to make sure that if it's sold, we're not in a contract with a company we don't want to be in. Are there any further questions for city staff on this? No? And what I'm going to do is open up public comment for this as you look it up, Mr. Simpson, if you see if it's assignable. So at this time, we will open this up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this item tonight? Seeing none, I will close public participation. And we will wait a moment.
I don't see anything that says, addresses the signability of it. There's typically, and I don't know that this would qualify as a personal services contract, they are not assignable. But when you try to say it has to, we could add a provision that says it gets, assignment has to be approved by the city. The question is, what is an assignment? Obviously, if this company tries to sell the contract to another company, that's a clear assignment. But what happens if someone buys the company and the company stays intact? So the
Right.
ownership changes
They
of the
take
company,
investments or, yeah.
but the company itself has not changed. Or say this company merges with another company. And through the merger process, you have a resulting entity that could be the same entity, just ends up being a different name, same entity, it merged with another company that absorbed another company. Or this company could be absorbed by another company. Or the two merge together and create a third entity. There's a lot of different scenarios. It might be hard to make sure we address every potential scenario. Obviously, if they, we could put in there, non-assignability of it, if that's what the commission wants.
You can terminate in 60 days.
Huh?
You can terminate in 60 days.
When we can terminate in 60 days without cause? Without cause?
Without cost? Oh, then that fixes it right there.
So that addresses
Okay.
it too, yeah.
Perfect, all right. Well, that gets to the heart of why I was asking. So with that, then I will be in agreement with this passing tonight. I will open the floor for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve as written from Commissioner Danio, and a second from, who did I hear it from? From Vice Mayor Penny.
That's his name.
All right. Is there any discussion on this? All right. Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. We have no public hearings tonight, so we move to communications. We will start with our city manager.
Just two things I want to bring to your attention. One is the sale of the UCC Church back here behind City Hall on Daytona Avenue. I was approached by two people, neither one of them have any authority with regard to the sale of that property, that said that the church was not happy with the proposed buyer and wanted me to intervene in that. And I sent an email off to the attorney to say, this is what's happening, and I don't want to intervene in somebody else's real estate deal. And I still don't know if the deal is going through or not, but if you're hearing anything about that, I'm not in a position to intervene in somebody's real estate purchase and sale agreement unless the attorney contacts me and either sends me a counteroffer or requests an offer, a counteroffer from the city. So I just wanted to put that out, that I'm not inserting myself where I don't belong. The other thing I want to make you aware of is 921 Daytona Avenue is a duplex property that is, it had some code enforcement violations, and for whatever reason, the owner of half the duplex appears to have illegally subdivided the property of the duplex and then quitclaim deeded that property over to the city. So we now own half of an illegally subdivided duplex that, upon me finding out about it, we've had locks put on the door and the water turned off. There is another owner to Unit B of that duplex who's in a medical rehab facility, and I've spoken with him and I've talked with his brother who lives in Oregon. He was actually living in Unit A, the unit the city owns. So I told him he can't go back there because we're now liable for everything. So I spoke to the brother out in Oregon, and I said, look, I have no interest in having this property, no interest in keeping this property, and I'm not opposed, if the commission doesn't object, to turning Unit A over to Jack and Joe Ferguson, the brothers, so that they own it, only with the condition of it's got to be repaired. It's in disrepair, the roof leaks, the sewer line's broken on one side, there's just some code enforcement violations that are on it. So unless you have any objection, I'd like to go into an agreement with them that says, you know, I'll give you so many days to bring the property up to code compliance. I'll put the deed, quitclaim the very same deed back to them, put it in escrow with the attorney's office, and once they come into compliance, then maybe we could sign that and issue the property over to them. But, you know, it was given to us by some obscure reason. I don't know why. I don't think we deserve to take it. But, you know, technically, can we sell it? I think there'd be more challenges because I don't think it was subdivided properly, and it would probably cost us a bunch of time and money, and I just don't think it's worth it.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. And I know are you looking for consensus
Just
here?
consensus, yeah.
So is there consensus to move forward with?
Sounds like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I don't know if, other
What
than
was your
code
question,
enforcement,
Mr.
I
Johnson?
don't believe it has a mortgage.
I mean, you didn't do a title search.
No, I didn't do title search.
But it was illegally subdivided, and so we've had to go through a whole process, and it wasn't ours to begin with. It shouldn't have been, so I'm in agreement with what you say. Is anyone else objecting to this? All right, seeing no objection, you have your consensus?
That's all that I have. I'm just going to run to the restroom.
Okay, Mr. Simpson, do you have anything? All right. Val, anything for us? All right. All right. I have quite a few things. I will try to be as brief as I can be, but you know me. So I did want to, well, I will wait to talk about that until Mr. Forte comes back in. It has to do with him. I wanted to update the commission that at our next city commission meeting, I believe, and Val can correct me if I'm wrong, but the City Catalyst Grant from the Florida League of Cities, or actually it was the Florida League of Mayors, the presentation for the Imagination Library $2,500 grant that we received so that any citizen in the community 5 and under can receive free books throughout the year, once a month. So if you know anyone under 5, please spread that word. It's going to be a great program. They will come here to the commission and present the check, correct? And once again, thank you to Commissioner Curry for going to the conference and accepting that check ahead of time. So be aware for that for next meeting. I also wanted to bring up, and some of you may have seen on social media, that at Sunrise Park there is going to be a farmer's market. It's not a city-sponsored event like the city has tried in the past, but it is two local ladies that came together to want to put together this farmer's market and put out feelers in the community, and they had an overwhelming response that people wanted it. So they are going through that process, and I believe the permits were already approved. Is that correct, Mr. Walker? So we will have a farmer's market in there, and I believe that's in October. Do you recall? It's in sometime in October, so we'll
I think
update. What's that?
I thought it was September 22nd.
I thought it was October 22nd.
Is it October?
I think it's September.
Oh,
It's like next 2 weekends away, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good to know, and Commissioner Curry's looking that up.
October 22nd, it's a Sunday.
Oh, it's October.
So you had the right
Had the right
date,
day, wrong month, sorry.
At 9
Okay.
a.m.
Okay.
9 to, I think, 3, right? It's a long one. Yeah, 9 to 3.
Yes,
So
9
for
to
the
3.
community, come on out, support the farmers market. Hopefully, there's a lot of local people there selling stuff. We can get the community together. Looking forward to that. And now Mr. Forte is back in the room, and I wanted to thank you, Mr. Forte, and your staff and finance. I received a call from a very concerned and distraught citizen who lives on 3rd Street, and she has a limited income, and she visited her family out of town, and when she got back, she had her lawn mowed, and someone told her that the water spigot outside was leaking. And so when she got her bill at the beginning of September, the bill came back at $1,400. She's a single person. Usually her bill's, no more than $70 a month. She said, this is more than her tax bill, and I looked up her tax bill, and it was. Her tax bill is $1,100 a month, or a year, and this bill was $1,400. And, look, me as the mayor, I often say I reflect our community. I'm paycheck to paycheck, working my tail off to get ahead, and so every dollar counts. And so I hear this gentleman tonight talk about the water bill and the storm water fee. The storm water fee is very necessary, and the water bill is where it's at because we own our own water facility, so we can make that function correctly. But I'm very aware of how each dollar actually affects people. And so putting myself in the shoes of this person, $1,400 a month, there's no way in heck I could ever be able to pay that. I've never been late on a water bill. She tells me that she wasn't. So I contacted Mr. Forte about it, and he got with finance to help this lady. I believe now, hopefully she's on a payment plan. But we talked about, why did this happen? How can this happen? $1,400 when a bill is normally $70. And I thought that there was protections in place, and there kind of are, and apparently staff did what they were supposed to do, so I'm not attacking staff here. They went out, did the hanger on the door. She didn't receive that. She was obviously out of town. For one reason or another, the leak kept going to $1,400. So I know Mr. Forte was looking at some internal, and you could chime in if you want, discussions about how we can prevent this from happening in the future. Currently, a staff member will go out, put the hanger on the door, and if it is a fast spinning leak, then they can go ahead and shut that off. If it's a slower leak, like in this case, then they don't necessarily shut it off right away. And so what happens is if moving forward, if this continues to happen, if we see that it's continuously leaking over a period of time, then there needs to be contact made to that resident or homeowner there to make sure that they're aware of the leak. And if not, like in this case, if we find out that she's out of town, then obviously the water needs to be shut off until they can get home to repair that. So, but there's many things that go along with that, and I told Mr. Forte I want to be careful with how we are able to shut off, because we don't want a grandma that has her grandkids over for the weekend who's filling up a pool or playing in the backyard, and it spikes, and we just go out and turn it off. There has to be contact made, so that way we understand that it is a leak and it needs to be done. But I just see no reason for anybody to ever receive a $1,400 bill. I think we can all agree to that. So I just wanted to applaud Mr. Forte. You jumped right on it with your staff as well, and I hope to see some internal changes with that. If you want to comment on it, you can. If I covered it all, we're good.
You pretty much covered it. I did learn that the staff does try to reach out by phone to make contact with property owners or occupants when things like this happen. What's really more important, and we're trying to get the word out as often as we can, is the Ion Water software program that each resident, each occupant can download on their phone or their computer, and they can monitor their own utility bills, their consumption on a daily basis, an hourly basis, a weekly basis, however often they want. So I think it's important that we give some of that knowledge to the residents and let them self-monitor their own utility rates, and if they see a problem, by all means, they should contact us as soon
I
as.
believe you could set alerts if there's.
I'm
that
not
type of
overly
activity.
familiar with the program itself. I don't have it.
Right. But what I will say, so I brought that up with the resident, and she's an older female, and she said she doesn't understand technology, doesn't use a computer, and we still do have a lot of people in our community that are that way, especially the most vulnerable, which is our elderly. So we definitely should still have some backups in place, but you are right that the ION should be looked at. So thank you very much once again. In that same realm, the notice of free chlorine to utility customers came out, and it was brought to our attention by a resident that may not go out to everyone, and brought that to Mr. Forte's attention, and you're addressing that as well.
Actually, we did address it. It gets posted in the papers 3 times. It's been posted in the paper 3 times. It goes out in every utility bill, and it gets emailed to those customers that don't get a utility bill.
Oh, so they were covered.
From
Okay.
what I've been told is they are covered. Anybody that gets an email bill also gets an email notification of that free chlorine.
Oh, that's good to know. Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we update from emails to text messages? I never read my emails. I will read a text message if you send it to me, but
Good question. Yeah.
I have the Ion Water app because at our office, we were losing 10,000 gallons a day.
I think if that's your point of contact, you can put in text messaging as opposed to an emailing.
I didn't know what the new system, if it would, like.
We'll double check and I'll get you an
Instead
answer.
of getting that paper, I mean, they came and they said, hey, you got a leak. And then they came back and they say, you got a big leak. But if I wasn't there, I wouldn't have gotten the email on the weekend, but if a text message would come through, might
I'll
not
find
help
out.
everyone, but most everyone, my mom can read a text message.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Thank you, Commissioner Penny. So also, many of you have seen out front, the Veterans Memorials Foundation finally poured. I know that all of us, it's just a work in progress for staff, for this commission. We are honoring, for people that don't know, right in front of City Hall, we are putting a Veterans Memorial. And on that Veterans Memorial, in the granite, forever etched in stone, will be the names of about a dozen service members that lived in Holly Hill, that died in service to our country overseas, and we need to forever remember them. And I think this is the most appropriate place to do it, at this historic City Hall. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Mr. Forte, I think that we're looking at January, February
Well,
for
this is just the
installation.
foundation, and I'm told that the monument itself will be here after the first of the year. So I'm saying February in the hopes that it's going to be January.
Yep.
So I'm figuring
Memorial Day service.
Unless FPNL has anything to do with it.
sometime in February.
Yeah.
And we do need to think about an unveiling. And what I
Yes.
mentioned to the mayor is when this is put in, I intend to wrap it somehow, whether with cloth material or something, so that it's not
Visible.
publicly displayed yet until we unveil it formally.
Yes, and I have spoke to Congressman Waltz, and he is very excited about it. He is looking forward to that. So as it gets a little closer, I'll speak with him about his schedule, specifically when he's not in DC, to where we can kind of schedule it around him and then other people in the community. And I want to make sure that all of the family members of any of the people that are being honored are welcome there. VIP, we should have seats for them up front, and honor what their sacrifice was. So I know all of us are looking forward to that. That's some positive news. I look forward with the chief this Thursday to attending the Crime Stoppers annual banquet. Can't give thanks enough to our men and women in blue. Thank you for everything that you do. I'm really looking forward to that. And then a couple other things we have coming up before our next commission meeting tomorrow. There is, from the Volusia League of Cities, there's a roundtable with our Volusia delegation, meaning our state reps and state senators. That's from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. It'll be a roundtable with them to discuss some upcoming legislative issues. I don't know if, I know I'll be there. Is anyone else planning to be there? You got to be there because you're on the board, right? So, and on that same note, then, do we know if it's publicly scheduled, or does it fall under the sunshine, Mr. Simpson?
I think it's covered as far as sunshine.
What's that?
I think it's covered as far as sunshine is.
Okay, good. Just making sure. If not, then I can just talk. No violation if you don't talk.
That's fine.
At the meeting. We also have on Monday the roundtable of mayors that we're looking to get together as well. If anyone has any concerns that would like to be brought up, you can speak to Mr. Forte. I'm happy to bring those up for you. And then we also have our county council member, Troy Kent. He's having a meeting from 5 to 6 next week. I'll tell you the date here. It is Monday, the 18th, from 5 to 6 p.m. Mr. Forte, is he meeting here or Sika Hall? Do you recall?
In chambers.
In chambers? Okay, great. And are we going to have staff to help, I'll be here, I can turn on the lights and whatnot, but are you planning on, do we have to do anything?
What time
It's
is
from
he?
5 to 6. I'll be here, so I can
Yeah, I mean, I'll
turn
probably
on,
be
shut
here
off.
too, so,
Oh, you're going to stick around?
yeah.
Okay, good. All right, and then, that's open to the public, so Troy Kent is our county council member, District 4, which is Ormond, Daytona, and obviously Holly Hill here, so if you have any concerns, it's an open meeting to speak to him directly, he'll be here, and you can come and do that. And then we have the chamber breakfast as well, that next day, Tuesday, the 19th, 7:45 at Riviera Senior Living. So looking forward to all that. There's a lot of stuff going on. With that, I'm going to keep it short because remember, we're going to go back into our workshop after this meeting and to discuss more about the food trucks. So with that, tonight we're going to start with Commissioner Curry.
Well, thank you. I don't have too much. I did want to ask, because the tournaments over at Pictona are going to be starting up here real soon, about the city's name up on the wall. Joe, have you gotten anything back on that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Over at Pictona, where we're discussing putting our name on the wall of
I-
the championship court.
I responded back to that company. I'm waiting for them to
So
push
we
me out a
haven't
draft.
received anything back
I haven't
yet?
got anything back yet, no.
I just would like to get that going as soon as possible because the tournaments are going to be starting up here within the next month. I know the PPA is coming back in November. So I would just like to see that up there and the camera shining on it. So also, I would like to thank Mr. Forte, city staff, police department, Mr. Walker, I'm going to leave people out, but everybody that has been involved, the code enforcement, and the hotel, the hotels on Ridgewood Avenue. We've gave direction a couple of months ago, a few months ago, to city staff to try to get our corridor cleaned up and get some of those buildings to code. And I just attended a meeting this morning on one of the hotel, well, actually, it's two hotels, one owner. And the only reason I did that is because she used to be one of our police explorers, so there was that personal relationship to try to mediate any hard feelings or anything going on with those properties. And I thought city staff did a wonderful job as I sat in on that meeting. So I would just like to commend all of them for the hard work they're doing to help us clean our city up. And I'm also going to be with you on Thursday for the Crime Stoppers dinner, and I look forward to that because, I'm always a supporter of our first responders. And I would like to thank everybody that came out and spoke. I appreciate you. We all are open. We have our phones with us all the time, emails, so anytime you feel free to contact any of us. I know we have districts, but I don't think I've ever gone by district. I think I help more people outside of my district than I do in my district, but that, to me, is my job up here. I'm here to help. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. Commissioner Danio.
I'm ready for round two, that's all.
Okay. Thank you for the big brief. Commissioner Johnson.
Just a couple of things, we had a really, had a turnout event, when we had it on the Smoky last, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was-
Great turnout.
It was
Was an
Hundreds of
awesome
people. That
turnout.
was,
The only problem we had was a parking problem. I think.
yeah.
And we didn't really have that until the town line lodge opened.
Yeah.
And, But there was a lot of good things brought up about it, but I worked there when I first got to Florida for 6 years, I worked there for, and that was my first job.
Explain to the public what it was while we were there.
Those Smokies,
Yep.
Smoky Beauty, where he did so much back for the racing industry, back when he was with it, was a little bit easier to deal with than it is nowadays with NASCAR and all. But he made it a little more complicated. But he had a place right across from the Marina Grande, to the south of Marina Grande, which is right on the border of Daytona Beach and Holly Hill. And he ran it as the best damn garage in town for quite a few years. When I first moved to Florida, he did a job working there for him, and I learned. I thought I knew most everything about that until I got there with him, and I found out I didn't, because he was pretty clever about a lot of things, but he put up with me for a lot more than he did some other people, because he had a kind of a mental block against electrical, and I knew all about the electrical, so I used to take care of all that for him. It dealt with all the Delco Remy people, which was part of General Motors. He worked for General Motors, and first time I hadn't seen Herb Fischel, he kind of made most of the announcements there or something, and I hadn't. Last time I saw him, he was around 22 years old, and then he told me he was 82 when he was there. So that was a long time ago. That was Herb Fischel. And he was our liaison from General Motors when I was there. Anything we ever needed from General Motors Corporation, mostly Chevrolet, we just go to Herb and say, Herb, we want this, and Herb would get it, no matter what it was. He even got us, they built one rear engine Corvette, one only Chevrolet built, and we got that even from them. In the store, they're trying to make an Indianapolis race car. And then, but there were so many things that he did that never was mentioned. Like I just pick out about 2 or 3 of them. I mean, I could go on and on about it, because I actually saw it firsthand without anybody telling me about it. He built a 3-cylinder Buick out of half of a V6 Buick, and he was putting it in all the John DeLorean's cars. That was could be the DeLorean engine, until John DeLorean got framed for some kind of drug deal in California or something, and that fell through. So that was a great thing. We was putting those in the DeLorean cars, that 3-cylinder Buick. Then he built a 2-cylinder V8 Chevrolet. He took the 2 back cylinders cut off of a V8 Chevrolet and built a 2-cylinder engine out of it. And then he got with Dow Corning Corporation that nobody knew about, and they built ceramic parts for him. So he put that in a Volkswagen Rabbit and drove around by himself all the time out to the airport and all. That's when Japanese come over and offered him so much money to just give him any kind of an idea how he got the horsepower of that engine without the detonation, because they could do one and not the other, but nobody knew it was built out of ceramics and not steel inside the engine. So just so many things that he did, and the airflow research projects he did with airflow research and all that. If he hadn't insulted him so bad, he could have made a fortune with that. You know, so many things I saw him do, but it's just amazing that the things that he did pioneer. Like Herb kind of touched on the idea of him putting the angled spark plug in a V8 Chevrolet, the small block. I remember that very well. Robin remembers that too, right? And just so many things he did. I could touch on a lot of it, but that was a great thing. And, you know, I mean, I really thought it was a good thing because of the way it went over. It was pretty hot and people was getting tired. But the only other thing that I have, I don't remember if it was the last meeting, the meeting before last, it was brought up about the speeding problem that we have so bad on Alabama, which is right on the south side of my Volusia Sports project. It's just on the south side of Flight Gymnastics. It's Alabama. It's a long stretch of road, and people speed on it a lot. But I got to thinking that if you really wanted to try something on there, if you go up by the control tower of the Ormond Beach Airport, just on the south side, laying up against the fence, is probably about 50 or 60 portable speed bumps laying there that I'm sure that Joe and Bart and Joyce in trying that road and trying 2 or 3 into that road and trying to see if that'll stop the speed. They're just laying there. They took them all up. They go right behind the sports facility. They took them all up and put the asphalt speed humps in place of them, put them all over by the fence of the airport, and they're laying there. if it's something we could try on that, just to see if it'll help with it or something. Because that is a problem. People do go down past, they get out of the doggy park and things like that, and they go flying down and come out on Flemish and all, so. It's just an idea. I'm done.
Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor, right?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And now we'll move to Vice Mayor Penny.
Couple things. I received an email correspondence from Mayor Lois Paritsky from the Volusia League that she would like to do a presentation to our commission. I gave it to Joe, so I think she's going to come and do a presentation to possibly do a Citizens Academy after the first of the year. Not so much an academy, but informing citizens about advocacy opportunities to get involved with their legislators. One thing that Commissioner Curry dumped on me a couple years ago was the Christmas Club. And,
No.
Thank goodness Mandy, our victims advocate, is representative, but somehow
I think Jeff is the one.
I got put on that board. So the Christmas Club, I didn't know anything about it until Commissioner Curry got me involved about 5 or 6 years ago. It's been around since 1931?
Somewhere in there.
1931?
75 years.
Yeah.
No, it's like, it's 90s.
Are you talking about R&R?
No,
No,
the
it's
Community
it's
Christmas Club.
it's called the Community Christmas Club of the Halifax area. And they serve 6 cities, and they get 1,000 boxes every year at Christmas time and distribute it. And many of you have been there. But I am now one of the food co-chairs somehow. So I'm going to really challenge the other 6 cities as the vice mayor, if that's okay with you guys,
Yeah.
to get them to come and participate. South Daytona brings almost 8 or 10 people
Wow.
every year.
It's usually most of
Have
their
you set the date
commission
yet?
and their
Yeah,
staff.
it's December 9th. It's at R&R, which, by the way, they're celebrating their 75th anniversary in our city. I think we need to spank them. We need to have more people than South Daytona. It's
What's it called
Daytona,
again? Christmas
it's a Christmas club.
Club.
Daytona does a lot of the front end work.
What time?
I would say 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's at 9 a.m.
But it literally took 45 minutes last year. It's down to a science. So that's coming up. So I'd like to have as much representation,
What's the date again?
December 9th. You know, you don't have to be an elected official, you don't have to work at the city. I just want people showing up with their 417 stickers on the back of their
Well,
trucks.
Don't forget, young people can get community service hours.
Yes, as long as they sign the waiver that we can use their image in our advertising. So, you guys gave me some homework a couple weeks ago, and I did it, involving the Silver Beach neighborhood, the 9 houses, whether it's a 6-foot fence or a 4-foot fence or no fences or blah, 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 blah. There's 9 houses there. I made several attempts to contact them all. 2 I could never find at home. I left my card to call, but anyhow, there is no overwhelming support one way or the other. One lady says she has no opinion at all. She doesn't care. One person said they would like 4-foot fences on both sides. 3 people said they would like 6-foot fences on Riverside, and 2 people said they'd like 6-foot fences on Silver Beach. So at the end of the day, the lady that came and brought it to our attention, I said, I don't think the city commission is going to do anything, because no matter what we do, we're going to make several people upset. What's happening down there is happening down there. You declare what's the front of your house or what's the back of your house. I don't believe the commission is going to take any action on it. So that's how I left it, but that was the polling that the community gave. Now, while I was down there, another issue came up, talking about speeding. And I had never really thought about it, but it has to do, the south end of our town is 30 miles an hour, and then it turns to 25. And it happens somewhere around 3rd Street. But I had never really thought of it, because when there used to be a Publix there, and you're going south, it's 2 lanes, and then it branches to 4 lanes, so there's turning lanes and everything to get into Publix and all that stuff there. But a couple of people brought to my attention that speeding is really bad there, not so much going north, but going south. So imagine if you live between Granada and Mason, and you jump on Riverside Drive, and you're going to work. And the person in front of you is going 27 miles an hour, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to do 25. They're probably going 32, but it still feels like a crawling. And as soon as they hit 3rd Street, it opens to 4 lanes, and it is pedal to the floor. The request was, hey, I don't think changing the speed limits is going to do, is there any traffic calming devices we can do to try and slow those down? I said, I don't have any idea. Bring it up, because I'm out here talking to people, so that's something for staff, the chief, whatever, just throwing it out there.
And I remember, since I've been on the commission, we have discussed that, and I know I was in favor, and the majority of the commission at the time, I don't remember each position, but was that because it's a 4-lane, it should be 30 miles an hour, and that's still my opinion on that. So
They're just saying there's like a green flag there. As soon as you hit that, it
Yeah.
just go, bless. So that was it. That's all I got. And I did look up Ms. Snyder's house. She does have homestead exemption on it, so it's just unfortunate timing. with
When
the
she
market-
bought
When she
and how
bought,
the
compared to her
homestead-
neighbors. Her neighbors have been there for a long time.
when the homestead starts, yeah. Okay, great, thank you. And I appreciate you going down personally to talk to each one of them, and I will consider it more, but I think you're right that as of right now, I mean, there's not a problem happening yet. It's just a matter of setting expectations for the future. If all of a sudden people move in and just put up 6-foot fences on both sides, and I don't believe they're allowed to.
They can't put it on both sides.
Okay,
And
one or
I-
the other.
My initial thought was that a 6-foot fence on Riverside Drive would look like a penitentiary,
Yeah,
but there's at least a 20-foot
yeah, buffer,
right away between their property and that sidewalk.
there is, yeah.
So it's not going to be even if they all did it, it wouldn't be a wall.
Yeah, yeah. So- But you just didn't find overwhelming either way.
I didn't
So-
find either way.
So probably the one person that came was the most upset about it. So one
Yes.
out of the 7. Okay, thank you. And just a couple things before we end this meeting. Commissioner Curry, you brought up a good point. Mr. Forte, she brought up a good point about Pictona and about the art. I would like to see if that could be done, hopefully before that. But also, I brought up an idea that I wanted to speak to the commission about. I brought it to Mr. Forte's attention. So when watching other events, especially tennis, and then I rewatched from last year the ESPN of the Pickleball Open, whatever it was called. And I was watching, and not many times at all was that back wall shown. In fact, they brought a huge fake wall and put it in front of it. So you sometimes would be able to see it here and there. But then I noticed, if you watch other professional sports on the court, that what you are looking at the whole time is the court. And I think on 4 corners of that court, before that VIP seating is, there's a lot of court left out there, and I believe it's
You mean at
green.
either end?
I mean, gosh, I should probably draw
Because
it out.
either end has a lot of room.
So on all sides has a lot of room around it. And what I was thinking is that would be the best place to actually just place our logo, our new Holly Hill logo. And I would even go so far as, because you know me, I want it all to be Holly Hill, all 4 corners, or just 2 of them. But if Pictona really wanted to, I would be okay with having Pictona's logo here, Holly Hill's logo here, Holly Hill's logo here, and Pictona's here. That is going to give the absolute most exposure, because 90% of the viewing is going to be right there on that as it happens. So I told Mr. Forte about it. I just wanted to bring it up to the city commission. I hope that's something that we can implement on there. I think it would bring us a lot of national exposure. And then I wanted to address too, very quickly, you talked about the motels. And I just wanted to remind staff too that we really do need to, and maybe it's already in motion, but really need to remind the property appraiser of those appraisals of those motels. I think it's a travesty. We had people here speak tonight about taxes, and one way we can lower the taxes is by creating more of a tax base from our business community. And when a motel is listed at $100,000 valuation as a business, and yet it's being sold for $1.1 million because of the cash flow, by my math, that needs to be appraised at closer to $1 million. With that, more funds would come in and allow us to reduce the tax rate, which would obviously take that tax burden off our taxpayers. So I don't know if you looked any further into that, Mr. Forte, but I just wanted to keep it top of mind, if not. Did you look more into it? or-
Having the property appraiser come out and reassess those properties?
We have to have, and I can have a personal conversation with him on why is it that these $1 million properties are assessed at $100,000? I mean, none of our other businesses are assessed that way. So, Mr. Simpson?
Well, I remember years ago in South Daytona, we had the same concern. Joe Yarbrough, city manager, then had the same concern. And we did have a meeting, and it was Morgan Gilreath at the time. And it was kind of a general meeting about why are kind of showing comparables, like why are these properties so low? I don't know that we have legal standing to challenge the assessed value, to try to make it go higher.
Because it's the opposite. It protects the property owner, yeah.
So, but the way we addressed it in South Daytona one time was to have a meeting. I can't tell you if that helped or what the result was of that, but that's how we tried to address the issue.
Mr. Mayor, my
Yes, sir.
experience at my office is
Yep.
that they're old buildings, because mine was an old motel. They're old buildings, so they're assessed very low. But we do receive, once a year from the property appraiser, a voluntary testament to your cash flow.
To income, yeah.
So I never fill it out. But to try and determine a more fair value on those properties, but it's not mandated, it's a voluntary form.
Right, because
that
there's
they
several
request.
ways to appraise it based on, the build value or based on a cash basis. And so, but look, some of these places are posting it for sale for $1.2 million with an 8% cap rate that shows the cash flow is, whatever that is,
When it sells,
$100,000 a
when
year.
it sells, the value goes up.
Well, supposedly, but all of these motels are still very low. So if they're using, so anyways, I just, maybe I'll have that conversation with them. Look, you all know that I fight against any raising of any taxes of any kind, but for this type of business, a motel, and they need to be assessed correctly, and they need to pay their fair share. If there's any business in Holly Hill that really needs to, it's those motels. So because we get more calls to those motels for our police department and all kinds of services, our code enforcement officers are constantly out there. So if anything, they should be paying their fair share. I just wanted to just quickly bring that up because you talked about that, and you failed to mention that at the monument for Smokey Eunuch, very famous guy, had Fireball Roberts, Bobby Allison, AJ Foyt, Marvin Panch, all of those race car drivers should be in the Hall of Fame, but there's a little bit of controversy to that.
Martin Page won the Daytona 561,
Yep.
and he said he wound up with like $500.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't pay much back then. But NASCAR wouldn't be what it is today without Smokey Eunuch, and I know that he was near and dear to here. So with that, I will end my comments, and is there any further business to be taken up? Seeing none, we will adjourn this meeting.